Previously on sort of review, but also Easter eggs. If you're a poor person who has school or a job and doesn't have time for huge 100+ hour open world RPGs like The Witcher 3, even though I still want to play The Witcher 3, and Horizon Zero Dawn just came out on PC. Hey guys, Matt here, and this is Strife, but this is Death. So you may ask yourself, how did I think that this skin was a reference to Strife in my last video? Well, the answer's pretty simple, because I'm an idiot and I've never played Darksiders, that's why. Luckily, I discovered my mistake before anyone else did, so now I can just pretend it never happened. Anyway, today's video is not about Darksiders, but about a video game I've been wanting to play for some years now, but I couldn't because I don't have a PS4 and my life isn't fair, and also I like complaining a lot. I'm talking, of course, about Horizon Zero Dawn, a video game that came out on PS4 back in 2017. You know, back when Guerrilla Games apparently still didn't realize that console exclusives are stupid, and I just want to play cool stuff too without buying an expensive console. But this year Guerrilla Games actually said, you know what, let's bring this game out for PC as well. To which I responded, thank you Guerrilla Games, very cool. Now I'm just not going to play with mouse and keyboard, get my Switch Pro controller and just pretend I have a console. But I am very glad that they brought it out for PC, because this game is absolutely great. I just really want to talk about this game, so here's my sort of review, but also Easter eggs in Horizon Zero Dawn. Since the story is absolutely amazing, I wanted to take my time describing the story. If you don't care about this part of the video, you can skip to this part for a review on the gameplay and mechanics, or to this part where I describe most of the Easter eggs in the game. If you do want to see it, then here's my new spoiler alert. There will be spoilers. So without any further delay, let's get into the game.
Two hours later.
Okay, so the optimization of this game has been taking 1.5 hours, so I really hope it just works right now, and it seems to be going well. It looks really good though, but wait. It froze. Okay, so more about this whole ordeal later in the video. First I want to start off on a positive note. As soon as you get the game to work, you get this amazing looking intro movie where you see a tiny Phil Collins lookalike being delivered to a place where she can be blessed. Also, tiny side note, as soon as I saw all these Dutch names like Jan Bart van Beek and Michiel van der Leeuw, I felt so much Dutch pride that I put a frikandel on my stroopwafel and did my klompendans while chugging Heineken and kissing my picture of Willem. So tiny Phil Collins here gets brought up to the top of the mountain where she gets welcomed by Tirza, who's probably the nicest grandma figure ever, but her friends, who still seem to have flashbacks from when Peter Gabriel left Genesis, don't like her, and neither do all the other people of the tribe, because she
Is motherless.
which is stupid by the way, because why would you cast out an orphan? So anyway, the other kids are picking berries.
Oh, that's a lot of berries.
No, that's a lot of
Berries?
But our main protagonist, who turns out to be not Phil Collins but actually Aloy, can't join in, so she gets mad and falls down a pit. The pit is actually an old ruin of the old world, which I'll explain later. She also finds this tiny triangular thing which is great for hands-free driving, but since they don't have cars in this world anymore, she uses it to see everything, like computer screens and dead people's memories.
Hi! Happy birthday, Isaac!
Like you do. But her father figure Rost doesn't like the new toy she found, which is called a Focus by the way, because
such things are dangerous.
or so he says. But Aloy keeps it anyway, mostly because she thinks that the old world and the Focus will give her the answer to who her mother is. Also, Ross tells her about a competition called The Proving, which she can participate in to get back the respect of her tribe and possibly find the answers there. Some arguing, sneaking, fighting and one training further, and Aloy is ready for The Proving. Time for some big adventures and getting to know everything of this world, and oh... Yeah, so watch out where you're walking. I'm gonna go a bit faster through this part of the story, but basically she meets some new people at the proving, including this guy called Olin, who also has a focus. Aloy attends the proving and wins it, but then everyone dies. It's okay, because some of her friends survive, but then they also die. But it's still okay, because you've beaten the enemies, who are led by this pale beefcake guy, and then Rust comes to the rescue, and then he also dies. Which is actually pretty sad, because Rust was a really cool character. So Aloy is very sad and very almost dead, as you are when you get thrown off a mountain, and she wakes up in a place called the Allmother. The Allmother is a name her tribe gave to the mountain that they lived near. She finds Tirza, and Tirza explains that Aloy's mother is actually the mountain itself, because they found her near this huge door in the middle of the mountain that always speaks in a woman's voice. Yeah. So Aloy found out that the reason those bad guys wanted her dead was because they were looking for this scientist woman of the old world called Elizabeth Sobek, who bears a lot of resemblances to Aloy. So Aloy thinks, wait, if I look like her, maybe she's my mother and maybe she's beyond this door. So she tries to open the door and gets denied. It takes a pretty long time within the story to actually get on track of your mother again, because you make a stop in the sort of capital city of Meridian, where you meet people and do stuff, etc, etc, etc. But then this guy hacks into your focus and starts talking to you all the time, and he's kind of a dick all of the time. But he does lead you to a big ruin, which is where you finally get some answers to what the f*** happened to the world. The fictional future history of the world. So there's this guy called Pharaoh, who invents shit, and then there's Elizabeth Sobek, who invents shit as well. So they are like, let's invent stuff together, sort of, but not completely, because we probably have other ideas on what to do with our inventions. So Pharaoh is like, yeah, let's make the world a better place, and they both start working very hard. Elizabeth came back a little later and was like, dude, I made all these cool inventions that will make the world better. And then Pharaoh is like, yeah, I did the same, only mine are very big and have an unholy amount of machine guns and rockets, and I call them peacekeepers so that everyone knows it's for making peace and not war. Are you sure that that's a good... Also, they use any biological substance as fuel, and they can duplicate themselves to infinity. So Elizabeth is like, okay, that doesn't sound very safe. No, we're boned, and you gotta fix this, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth comes up with the idea of Project Zero Dawn. Because it's in the title. Which is very complicated, but basically she creates an AI called Gaia, which is not supposed to save the world, because they are already literally f***ed and they can't stop that. But Gaia is able to rebuild the world after everything got so messed up. Now Gaia is made up of several different subcategories. For instance, Apollo is the category that will make sure humans will eventually be able to roam the world again. But Hades is a different part, and because Pharaoh is not a very nice guy, he pretty much corrupted Hades and made it evil. Fast forward back to Aloy, and she finds out a lot of this information while also being introduced to Hades, who with help of the Eclipse, the goofy little club of creepy white boy from the beginning, tries to destroy the world again. So you find out Pharaoh fucked the whole program, and Elizabeth tried to get everything to work, but then sacrifices herself in the process, and eventually the Eclipse managed to not only beat Aloy, but also destroyed her homestead and attack Meridian. The Eclipse tries to get Hades into the spire next to Meridian in order to send a signal to all the buried Pharaoh robots, but in the end Aloy is able to defeat the Eclipse and destroy Hades. After that, you get to the most touching point of the game, where you found out that Elizabeth made it back home and Aloy tries to take a seat next to her and Gaia is talking to her and...
Query. What did she say?
She said I had to care. She said, Elizabeth, being smart will count for nothing if you don't make the world better. You have to use your smarts to count for something. To serve life, not death.
You often tell stories of your mother, but you are childless.
I never had time. Guess it was for the best.
If you had had a child, Elizabeth, what would you have wished for him or her?
I guess I would have wanted her to be curious. And willful, unstoppable even. But with enough compassion to heal the world. Just a little bit. Anyway, that's all I've got for now, Gaia. Time to tuck in.
I wish you a pleasant sleep, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'll catch you tomorrow.
God damn, that's good writing. And then in the post-credits you get like this, oh no, Hades is still alive and it gets captured by silence, and you're supposed to be surprised that he's probably going to be double-crossing you in the next game after a whole game of complaining to you and being a salty, egotistical ballsack all the time.
Hello, old friend. Remember me?
Yeah, it wasn't that surprising to me when I saw it, but apart from my complaining, this story, these characters, this world, everything is so well put together. First of all, the game looks absolutely amazing, which definitely helps with the immersion. But then you see the animations and you hear the voice acting, especially by Ashley Birch, who voices Aloy, and it's all just so good.
So many voices to listen to. It must make your head hurt. I promise my voice will be soft and soothing.
A soft voice, like Alara's. It's been so long. Years. Yes. Yes, I will listen.
She is just such a likable character, and most of them are. Pretty much every character is so well made and so well written that only Gary Oldman can tell me which one I really did like in this game. Half of the time you're just getting lost in the side missions just because you want to hear more people's stories. This is one of the first games where I was actually intrigued to read every book and listen to every audio tape just because I wanted to know more about the world and the story. Even the collectibles have some use, or at least a story behind them. I especially like the vantage points in which you can see pictures of how this city used to look before the collapse. The world itself is absolutely huge, but it feels like it's filled to the brim with things to discover, unlike some other games. If it's not the several different biomes with lots of different machines to defeat or override that keeps you interesting, then it's the endless amounts of side missions like the ruins of the old world, cauldrons, which are basically the factories where the machines are built, and hunting grounds where you can test your skills. And you might think that it will get repetitive at a certain point, and there is some truth in that. But for me, after nearly 50 hours of gameplay, I still found new things to do, new challenges to complete, and bigger machines I hadn't defeated yet. And believe me, defeating your first Thunderjaw is the coolest thing ever, which is a big contrast to Glinthawks, because fuck those things. I do recommend you to keep doing side missions, not only for the stories, but also to keep leveling up Aloy, because you want to be prepared for the later bosses and machines, especially when you're playing on a higher difficulty. Speaking of these enemies, you might think that all the work went into the story and world building in this game, but the combat and movement are so incredibly solid as well. You have this huge array of weapons you can use, and bigger enemies and machines drop heavy weapons as well, and
all of this just works.
Which is so satisfying. The combat gets alternated with lots of voice options, missions in which you basically have to play a detective, and there's even some Assassin's Creed style climbing, which could be a bit more fleshed out, like in Breath of the Wild for instance, but it's not bad by any means. Now I do have to say that where they must have put a lot of time in the machine AI, they probably put a little less time in the human enemy AI. They are noticeably less difficult to beat, and sometimes they're even just downright stupid. Now in all my positivity, I might overlook one very important part that is unfortunately nearly game breaking, and that is the game's performance. I haven't played this game on console, but I've been told that it runs very well on PS4. The same cannot be said for the PC port, at least in my experience. I had so many instances where the game just runs at 20 FPS, or where I just had a lot of lag in general, not even during highly intense moments. And as you could see in the beginning of this video, sometimes the game just straight up crashes. Now I am familiar with laggy games, since I always used to play on a very low performance laptop, but with the specs that I have now, which are far above the specs required to play this game, I just expected a bit more. Guerrilla Games did say that they are working on a solution, so let's hope for the best, because this game definitely deserves it. If you were thinking about buying this game, maybe wait a little while until it gets fixed, or hope for the best, since a lot of people also don't seem to have any issues at all. Overall, this game is just absolutely worth playing. I'm well on my way to reach 100% completion, and I'm going to start on the Frozen Wilds DLC soon. But now let's talk about the Easter eggs. Though there aren't a lot in this game, the ones that are here are really nice in my opinion. The first one is actually made up of several different items. This necklace, these shackles and this baby doll might seem unimportant, but look at their names. All of them are called Stranded. That's because all three of them can be found in the trailer for Death Stranding, a game by Hideo Kojima that came out last year. If you look at these items in your inventory menu, you can even see they have the logo of Kojima Productions, the company that parted ways with Konami after the falling out between the two. The next one can be found in the same menu, but now at one of the ancient relics, better known to us as mugs. One of these mugs has a familiar face on it. This is actually a Hellgas Trooper of the Killzone series. Killzone, of course, is also developed by Guerrilla Games. Speaking of references to other games, let's go to the vantage point of the Denver Stadium very quickly. Because in this picture you can find an Easter egg. In the right corner you see a red logo with the letter R on it. This is the logo of Riggs Mechanical Combat League, a VR game released in 2016 by Guerrilla Cambridge, the sister studio of Guerrilla Games. Well, at least it used to be, until 2017 when Sony decided to close the studio and fire everybody. Now if there's anything I really like to do, it's putting outdated memes in my videos, so this next Easter egg fits perfectly. In a data point log called Idiot Army, you can find a reference to something called an incredulous pigeon reaction holo, which is probably a reference to the Trash Dove meme from back in 2016 on Facebook. Climbing the tall necks in this game is in my opinion one of the coolest things to do. But if you happen to have climbed the one in Spear Shaft, stay on top of it, because from here you can access a secret hideout in the mountains. In this hideout you'll find two skeletons holding hands. If you happen to look for metal flowers, keep an eye out for the two rabbits near this one. I already grabbed the flower by the way, but anyway. If you scan the rabbits you can see they are called Jazz and Jack. This is another reference to a game called Jazz Jackrabbit. Not a Guerrilla game this time, but a game by Epic Games. If you take a look at the Eclipse logo, you can see it actually bears a lot of resemblances to the Decima logo. Decima is the engine on which Horizon Zero Dawn is built. A little fun fact in between, several NPCs in this game can be heard talking with a familiar voice. This is the voice of Doc Cockle? Cockle, sure. Who actually voices Geralt of Rivia in the Witcher series.
You look like you can handle yourself.
Last but not least, a familiar sound. The Wilhelm scream is a very famous scream sound effect used in a lot of movies. However, it's also used in video games. If you shoot rabbits in this game while using the hunter reflex ability, which slows down time, you can sometimes hear the rabbits in this game make the same noise, which is way more funny than it should be. And that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. I put a lot of time and effort into this video, so if you liked it, please like and subscribe and maybe click that notification bell so you can keep up to date with my videos. I really hope to see you in the next one, and have a look at this game for yourself because it really is very good. So if you want to see any of my other videos, you can find them here. Yeah, bye.